Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Welcome, everyone, to the September 12th, 2022 public hearings of the Planning Commission on the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. That's planner@plancom.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following the presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. And then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Good evening. Bernstein? Bernstein? Buzza?
Here.
Cardenas?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Loke? Loke? Powell?
Here.
Surya? Surya? Orton?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, our first and only action item up tonight will be 2A, TACPA 22-10, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 3204 and 3210 West Cypress Street, and the presenter is Emily Phelan.
Hi, Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2210, located at 3204 and 3210 West Cypress Street. The subject site is located within the Central Planning District in the Oakford Park neighborhood, and it's right here on the general locator map. Here's an aerial of the subject site. It's outlined in red. It fronts West Cypress Street, and it's bound by North Matanzas Avenue on the east and North Bradford Avenue on the west, and further to the east is McDill Avenue. Just a quick background, it's privately initiated, it's small scale, it's approximately 0.64 acres, and the request is to go from residential 20 to community mixed use 35. This is the subject site facing east along West Cypress Street. The subject site is out of frame to the right. This is facing west along Cypress Street. The subject site is on the left. This is the subject site. This is 3204 and 3210 West Cypress Street. It's facing south. This is facing south at the intersection of West Cypress Street and North Bradford Avenue. And this is also facing south at the intersection of West Cypress Street and North Matanzas Avenue. This is the adopted future land use map. The subject site is outlined in black and is represented by the brownish color. And you can see along West Cypress Street, the pink color is CMU 35, and further to the north and also to the south is residential 10. This is the proposed future land use map. Again, the subject site is outlined in black and it's represented by the pinkish color. The potential impacts of the site would allow for an increase in the number of allowed dwelling units and the maximum square footage. Currently, the site can be considered for 12 dwelling units and just under 14,000 square feet of non-residential uses in the residential 20 category. Under the proposed CMU 35, the subject site can be considered for a maximum of 22 dwelling units and slightly over 55,500 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. The proposed CMU 35 designation would also introduce the commercial general zoning district on the subject site. Planning Commission staff has reviewed the request and found it consistent with multiple aspects of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan has policy direction that seeks to protect existing residential areas while balancing the need for new development to be compatible with the neighborhood character. Additionally, the comprehensive plan identifies the need to designate enough land for housing options to meet the needs of Tampa's growing population and consider the development of mixed-use areas that can accommodate local serving, commercial, employment, and entertainment uses. The request for increased density and intensity will meet this policy direction while balancing the neighborhood character the comprehensive plan seeks to protect. Planning Commission staff finds the proposed request comparable and compatible with the neighborhood based on the surrounding land use pattern. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Is there a presentation from the applicants?
I'm not sure if he's here, so.
Oh. Might they be online? No? I guess not. Well, I'm going to take that as no applicant presentation then, and we will move on to the public comment. We didn't have anyone sign up for public comment on this item, so are you okay? I see you thinking. Okay. All right. So we'll open it up to comments from the commissioners and questions from the commissioners on this item. Not seeing any at this time, then I'll go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to the floor for motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Buzzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we find City of Tampa CPA 22-10 consistent with Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan and forward recommendation to the Tampa City Council.
All right.
Second.
All right. We have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzzer, a second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Is there any more discussion of this item or comments from the commissioners on this item? Seeing none at this time, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza,
Yes.
Cardenas,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, since that was our only item for that meeting, I will adjourn that City of Tampa meeting, and I will read us into our City of Plant City meeting. So bear with me for a moment. Welcome to the September 12th, 2022 public hearings on the Planning Commission City of Plant City Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll, please.
Bernstein? Buzza?
Here?
Cardenas?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Loke? Powell?
Here.
Surya? Joseph?
Here.
Orton?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, our first action item is 2A PCCPA 22-05. It is future land use text amendment, agriculture residential 1 and agriculture residential 2, and the presenter is Mark Hudson.
Thank you, Chairman. Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff. Our staff has processed 6 plan amendments for this cycle for the City of Plant City. One of the plan amendments that was originally intended to be heard tonight, 22-08, the applicant requested that to be continued to December 12th. So Krista Kelly and myself will present the other 5 to you this evening. The first one is a publicly initiated text amendment, as the chairman noted, PCCPA 22-05. A little bit of background. I've already mentioned it's publicly initiated and also a text amendment. These 2 new land use plan categories were requested to be developed by the City Commission at a planning workshop they had back on April 11th. And predominantly this allows for the continued use of agricultural production and low density development within Plant City. Currently, the lowest residential density in the municipality is R4. The reasoning behind the City Commission requesting these be developed is they felt that under certain circumstances, it may be appropriate to give these lower designations, which are not particularly prevalent in municipalities, but to recognize properties that have a lot of environmental constraints or that the city doesn't have the public facilities in place quite at the moment to offer the necessary facilities to allow for a greater intensity or density of the development. So our staff did comply with their request and develop these 2 plan categories. We didn't develop these from scratch. They're based primarily on similar plan categories that are in unincorporated county, and it's anticipated that under special circumstances that these may be applied as properties annexed into the municipality. As you can see, the uses for these are ranches, farmsteads, churches, some public uses such as passive parks, single-family homes on large lots, and agricultural production. It would allow 1 dwelling unit per gross acre. There are the non-residential uses such as agricultural uses and religious institutions will be limited to 30,000 square feet or a 0.25 FAR, whichever is less intense. As far as the agricultural production is concerned, those products that are produced on site, the applicant could sell those wares if they can comply with the land development regulations for provisions such as safe parking and things of those nature, items of those nature. The one difference between this plan category and the one in the county, if the applicant proposes to subdivide the land to develop, say, for example, a residential neighborhood, it would require utilities from the municipality to be provided. And this is a plan category that we feel that the jurisdiction should use very judiciously. There are some fiscal implications. This type of development pattern tends to require more resources to be expended on it than revenue received. And again, we would recommend to the City Commission to be judicious in applying this. And there have been a few plan amendments in recent cycles where we do feel that this would have been a reasonable option. The other plan category is agricultural residential 2. I didn't put all those provisions there again just to show you what is different. And what is different is, of course, the density is gone from 1 dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units an acre. And the square footage for non-residential uses has increased from 30 to 60,000 square feet. The FAR remains the same, and it would be whatever the least intensive of those two are. We did distribute this to agencies for review, in particular those agencies within Hillsborough County and also the departments within the city. We did not receive any significant comments from either. We did evaluate this based on the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, particularly for consistency with goals, objectives, and policies. Those full goals, objectives, and policies are listed in your packet. I've just noted the notation number for each, but we feel that this provision complies with policies and objectives related to neighborhood conservation, enhanced hometown charm, regulations dealing with annexations, growth management, the provision of public facilities, agricultural uses and agricultural compatibility, and intergovernmental coordination. We're here to garner your recommendation today, and we're going to be doing the same with the Planning Board on September 28th. That is the fourth Wednesday of September at City Hall at 8:30 in the morning. We do have a transmittal hearing planned for November 28th, and if the City Commission directs us to go forward and transmit to DEO, we would expect it to come back and be acted on by the end of the calendar year. However, the city has not provided us yet with that particular date where that time is available to take that action. With that, Planning Commission staff recommends that PCCPA 22-05 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and to forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you. Was this publicly initiated? Is there an applicant presentation?
The city staff has their own public hearing this evening, so
Okay.
they give their apologies. They could not attend. Hopefully, I'll be able to respond to any questions.
Thank you. All right. I didn't have anyone sign up virtually for public comment on this one, and it doesn't look like I have anyone signed up in here by the form that I'm looking at here. So I will go on ahead and turn it over to the commissioners for comments or questions on this item. Not seeing any at this time, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to the commissioners for motions. Commissioner Buzza.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we find PCCPA 22-05 consistent with the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward on to the Plant City Commission.
All right, we have a, yep.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Fernandez. Is there any more discussion or comments, questions from commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza,
Yes?
Cardenas, Cardenas, Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, our next item up is 2B, PCCPA 22-06, Future Land Use Map Amendment, east of North Shannon Avenue and south of South Frontage Road, and the presenter is Mr. Hudson again.
Again, Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff, and I failed to mention the first time. I hope HTV can share my PowerPoint. This is the first of the remaining plan amendments that are all map amendments. This is 22-06. A little bit of background, it's privately initiated. This one is small scale, coming in under 50 acres at 26.32 acres. It currently has a Plant City Residential 6 plan category, so it's not part of an annexation that is internal to the city, and they have requested it to be increased to Residential 12, or basically doubling the density. This shows you the map amendment located on the Plant City Vision Map. It does give a general idea and guide of what the community envisions for its future. It's indicated by the star on the vision map, as you can see on your right. This is in the northeast quadrant of the city. I will say it's outside the boundaries of the Northeast Master Plan that you'll hear more about this evening, but this one does not reside within that study area. More specifically, it's east of North Shannon Avenue, south of South Frontage Road, west of North Gordon Street, and north of East Cherry Street. This is an aerial of the site. The affected area is surrounded by the lavender dashed line. You can see to the north is an industrial use. That's Palm Harbor Homes. They manufacture modular homes. There are some commercial uses at the interchange of Wheeler Street and I-4. Around predominantly the rest of the site is single-family detached homes. I will say along the eastern boundary is the East Side Canal. That is a stormwater facility by the city that the TPO is currently studying for a multi-use trail to connect many of the recreational facilities in Plant City, and if it's able to be implemented, will be quite an attraction and an amenity to this whole area. But I will note that that facility does separate this site from those neighborhoods along North Johnson Street, as you can see on the map. I've got some aerials and some photographs to give you a little idea of the character of the area. The little red dot shows you the center of the plan amendment site. You can see the industrial uses directly to the north. You can see the access on the left that is Shannon Street. There are two streets with residential single-family detached homes, which I'll show you close-ups later. One's called Vining, one's called Alice. Neither one of these streets will be utilized to gain access to this site when it's repurposed, if approved by the City Commission for multifamily development. You can get an idea of the East Side Canal, that overgrown facility with some of the heavy tree cover on the eastern boundary of the site, and see some of the single-family detached homes further east. This is a close-up of the site. You can see the large building in the middle. This, interesting enough, was being developed as an assisted living facility. The developer passed away unexpectedly. It went back on the market, and the new owners have a desire to convert this into a multifamily complex. You can see, again, some of the industrial activities directly to the north, a little bit close-up of some of the single-family detached house to the south. This is a little bit zoomed in, so you can't see those same uses to the east. This is the partially completed assisted living facility as it stands today, and this would be part of that project that would preferably be reconverted into that multifamily complex. This is looking east on Vining Street. Access is not proposed at this location, but I did want to give you an idea of what the site looked like. And this is looking west away from the plan amendment site on Vining Street. And this is the other street I mentioned, looking west on Alice Street. I believe this neighborhood is called Shannon Terrace. This is looking north on Shannon Avenue, which is the primary access for this site. On the left is a hotel, and on the right is, again, the edge of Palm Harbor Homes, that industrial use. And now I've turned around, and Palm Harbor Homes, the industrial development, is located on the left. A little bit further afield is the plan amendment site, and on the right is the back of the hotel complex and also some undeveloped property. This is again, showing some of the work that's being done by Palm Harbor Homes, and you can kind of see the cupola from the partially completed ALF kind of just above that in the foreground to give you an approximate idea of the location. And this is Knight's Hotel, which is, I showed you a little bit earlier. It's on the northwest of this site. It's an extended stay hotel. And these are the neighborhoods that are on the east side of the East Side Canal that are separated from the plan amendment site, but I wanted to give you an idea of that development pattern as well. These do not gain access from Shannon Street. They gain access from Gordon Street. This is the adopted future land use map as it stands today. You can see the bright yellow color, which represents residential 6, which is 6 units an acre. The industrial uses shown by gray to the north. You can see some of the commercial uses at that interchange to the northwest. Directly across and a little bit further afield, you see the public, semi-public blue. That represents a cemetery operated and maintained by the municipality. And then the rest of it is the light yellow color, which represents residential 4. And because of the tree cover, you couldn't really see the East Side Canal, but you can kind of see that little ribbon of blue there that represents that canal that abuts it on the east side of the facility. And this if the City Commission ultimately approved this plan amendment, this is how the plan amendment would change. Plan amendment map would change to that darker yellow color representing 12 units an acre. So what are the potential impacts? Today, it could have 157 dwelling units on it. Of course, it was being built for an ALF, and there is a conversion factor for the number of beds that would be allowed. But as far as residential units, that would be 157 dwelling units. The potential would be 315 units if it was approved. At this location, under either scenario, it would not provide the opportunities for non-residential development. This is something that we've run into for the last couple cycles. There is some capacity in nearby school districts, but it requires the school district to change some boundaries of which schools serve which neighborhoods. So there are very near or at capacity, and this, as many of the other developments, will have to go through that concurrency process with the school district to ensure that there are appropriate number of student stations based on the ultimate approved density and units that are built within this potential new multifamily complex. There is water and wastewater capacity for this site based on our discussions with the utilities department. There is a small wetland on the site which will be protected per the regulations of EPC and also the City of Plant City. We did review this by the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan. And particularly, we looked at goals, objectives, and policies related to neighborhood conservation, growth management, the provision of public facilities, and the housing element. And we do feel that this request is consistent with those. And the complete goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet. This is under the same timeline, for the most part, with the previous plan amendment. We're here to garner your recommendation this evening. We're going to be doing the same with the Plant City Planning Board on the 28th. This is a small scale, so they are working on their concurrent zoning, and when that is available, both this recommendation and the zoning will be brought forward to the City Commission. And when that date is identified, it will be duly noticed to all the neighbors within 250 feet and also by legal advertisement. And with that, Planning Commission staff recommends that PCCPA 22-06 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission. I stand for any questions, and the applicant's agent is here as well.
Did the applicant have a presentation? Or the applicant's agent?
Good evening, Commissioners. Jim Schimberg, 1912 Ardsley Street. I'm also here with Alan Murphy, our land use planner. We're here representing the applicant. Eastman Blake, your staff has made a very comprehensive presentation, and we're here to answer any additional questions. We'd appreciate your support tonight.
Thank you. All right. I have a couple people sign up for this one. I think I'm going to start with the virtual one. I have a Melissa Ramirez. Is there a Melissa Ramirez on the line?
I did have her checked in, but I don't see her anymore on the list.
Okay. All right. Well, I will move. You found her? Oh, what about John and Melissa? Is that Melissa Ramirez? I see a John and Melissa on the list.
I see them too. I'm going to unmute you, John and Melissa, if that's you. John and Melissa, can you hear us? They are unmuted right now, but they're not responding.
All right, we'll go on ahead and put them back on silent, and we'll keep it moving. The next individuals I had sign up are in person. That was all for virtual. In person, we have, and I think some of these are probably applicants and representatives, but I'm going to go through it anyway, just in case. Jim Schimberg?
Yeah.
Okay, applicant. Alan Murphy? All right. And that seems to be all that I have for in-person public comment on this item. So with that, I will turn it over to the planning commissioners for questions or comments on this item. Discussions. Oh, Commissioner Orton?
I just needed some clarification. The 315 units, will they be using North Shannon Avenue? And then just a second question. I noticed on the aerials or on the maps that you have here, you noted Vining and Alice, but on the map, I didn't see Vining and Alice. Are they the two roads that are to the west of the subdivision?
To answer your first question, yes, they will garner their access from Shannon. And I'm going to go back to a map so I can point that out more clearly to you. There seems to be some little hesitation with the PowerPoint. Okay. If you see my cursor on your screen,
Yes.
these two roads are Vining and Alice.
Will they have access to either one of those roads?
I will let the applicant confirm this, but my understanding is the zoning is they were not intending access at this point.
Okay.
It's Jim Schimberg again. In the process we're working through with the city on the zoning, right now the access would be off of North Shannon.
All right, thank you. Were there any more questions or comments from the commissioners, discussions of this item at this point in time? Not seeing anything, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we find Plant City CPA 2206 consistent with the Imagine 2040 plan and forward this to the Plant City Commission.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Are there any more comments or questions, discussions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, our next item up for business is 2C PCCPA 22-07 Future Land Use Map Amendment, north of Sparkman Road and west of CSX Railroad tracks. Tracks, not tracks, huh? And the presenter is Mark Hudson.
This is another map amendment that has been privately initiated that we processed for this cycle. And as the chairman noted, its designation number is PCCPA 22-07. A little bit of background, as already noted, it's privately initiated. Unlike the last one, this is a regular scale plan amendment, so it will require transmittal to the Department of Economic Opportunity before final action by the City Commission. It's coming in at about 142 acres. The current land use is Plant City Industrial and Parks, Recreation, and Open Space, and the applicant is requesting to change this to residential for and natural preservation. This shows you the location of the site. It is south of East Alexander Street, east of Lazy Pond Lane, north of Sparkman Road, which it garners access from, and west of the CSX railroad tracks. This is the site here surrounded by the lavender dashed line. To give you an idea of some of the uses around it, directly to the north at that cul-de-sac, that's the Plant City Police Department. So it is in very close proximity to that. Off to the northwest is the neighborhood of Whispering Woods, and you can see that that neighborhood has been developed to ensure that some environmental wetlands and other amenities are protected, and you can see kind of the winding nature of that overall development pattern. Further to the west is the Gateway District, which I spoke to you last month about, is some of the work that the city is doing on that to promote a mixed-use environment along that corridor. To the closer in to the east, south, and west are large lot single-family homes, also some agricultural uses and vacant lands. There is one neighborhood that's under plan directly to the west. You can see it within the municipal limits with that blue dashed line, and that has been approved for residential 4, and you'll see that in the adopted land use map in a few moments. I have some aerials and photographs to give you kind of a character of the area. Again, you can see the site is located where the red dot. You can see in the foreground to the north the Plant City Police Department. Over to the northwest, you can see some of the circumventular streets of Whispering Woods. And then to the east and west, you see, and to the south, some of the large lot single-family homes. This is looking north at PCCPA 22-07. I'm standing on Sparkman Road looking north. And this is looking west at PCC 22-07 from Sparkman Road. So on the right-hand side of your screen is the plan amendment site, and on the left-hand side of the screen are residential homes. And this is just turning around with the same, looking at to the east. Since we turned around, the plan amendment site is on your left, and the adjacent properties on the south side of Sparkman Road are on your right. And I did want to show you this. This abuts the whole project site on the eastern boundary of the railroad tracks and separates this use from the uses to the east. And I've mentioned a couple times Whispering Woods, and this shows you the development pattern within Whispering Woods. Single-family detached homes, they have an R6 plan category with a lot of areas designated as natural preservation. And I've mentioned this also a couple times. This is a view looking south at the Plant City Police Department. This is the adopted land use map as it stands today. You can see it's predominantly industrial in use with some areas that have been marked as parks, recreation, and open space. It garners access from Sparkman Road. This parcel has garnered its land use categories from the very early 90s and remains undeveloped. We don't particularly feel that it's a relatively good location for industrial uses for a number of reasons, one being its remoteness and distance from garnering access to I-4 and also to State Road 60. Also, if you go on Sparkman Road and go to the west, you will impact the mixed-use environment that is being promoted in the Gateway District in Plant City, which would potentially have some negative impacts. And also, if you have industrial traffic go to the east along Sparkman Road, it's about 3 miles of rural residential homes before you eventually get to County Line Road. So we do feel that this is a more preferable land use, residential 4, and the applicant has also designated some of the areas natural preservation, but we feel it fits more within the character of the residential uses that have already been approved around it. I did want to spend a couple moments, and I think the applicant will as well. There is a closed landfill on the site, and the applicant has designated that closed landfill with the natural preservation category, and you can see it on this map, which precludes any type of residential development. We have been in contact with EPC's Solid Waste Group and consulted with them. They did not object to this plan amendment, but just noted that they want to be involved with the final site design. But they did not object, as I mentioned, to introducing residential uses in proximity to it. I will note that the applicant has brought a gentleman that may be able to answer any specific questions you have about the development related to the closed landfill. So what are the potential existing and future? Under its current land use, it could have 2 million square feet of industrial uses and another 500,000 square feet of recreational uses. That would be converted to 524 dwelling units as a maximum build out. Residential 4, natural preservation, neither one of those offer opportunities for non-residential development. And as I already mentioned, the natural preservation precludes all types of development except for caretaker opportunities and very passive recreation. I've already noted this in my past presentation that this area is near or over available school capacity, so once the final unit count is developed, they will have to go through a concurrency process with the school district. There was concerns raised by the Hillsborough County Community Infrastructure and Planning Department, and typically the issues they raised are handled through the rezoning process, and the city will be reaching out to them to ensure that the adjacent facility is developed accordingly or access points are designed appropriately. The water and wastewater services can be met based on the analysis provided by the Utilities Department. And as I already noted, there are some wetlands on site that will be protected in the closed landfill. And we did seek input from the Environmental Protection Commission, and their comments are included in your packet. We did review this by the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and particularly neighborhood conservation, growth management, dealing with general development and redevelopment strategies, the provision of public facilities, and also the housing element, and we did feel it was consistent with those provisions. This will have the same timeline as the previous ones, noting that the planning board meeting is September 28th. The transmittal hearing is scheduled for November 27th, and that's, of course, at City Hall at 7:30 in the evening with the City Commission, and the adoption hearing date is yet to be set based on the submittal of their zoning. And with that, Planning Commission staff recommends that the PCCPA 22-07 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and to forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission. I stand for any questions. The applicant is here, and he has brought some other experts with him to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation that they wanted to give? Or?
Good evening. Phil Walden, 2736 Gulf Lake Drive, Plant City, Florida. First, I'd like to thank Mark for his presentation. We do concur with his report. But a couple comments. The original project shows it as industrial. The original zoning down there was PD, planned development, and it was for a deluxe motor coach homes. And we have figured that over these years, nothing was been done there, and it's not consistent. We were concerned about that, the large motorhomes moving down Sparkman Road. We was also concerned about the landfills. So we came back, we put it to R4 and to natural preservation. On the site plan here, not site plan, excuse me, but on the report, it talks about 524 dwelling units. We've already have a zoning in place with the city. It's going through the process. And the actual zoning classification and the zoning numbers will be about 233. So it's quite a significant number in that drop. And I do have a gentleman here, Mr. George Foster, who can answer any questions regarding the landfill.
George Foster, Brooksville, Florida, Creative Environmental Solutions. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you. All right, let me open it up to comments first before public comment. The only person signed up in person was Mr. Waldron, which I assume he just signed up to represent this applicant. So we have no one signed up in person and no one signed up virtually for this one. So I will then turn it over to commissioners for questions or comments on this item? Discussion, Commissioner Fernandez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious, where is the landfill on the site on the north end?
If you put that,
Yeah, I get it back for you.
it's basically the two areas designated as green space.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully
Yeah.
it's the area that's in the aqua color. There's basically two separate sites.
Okay, do you have any plans to add, mitigate that area, put some sort of landscaping, forestry? Because it seems like the residential area is already mostly oaks that are going to be removed, I'm assuming?
Well, it's already capped and closed and
Oh, it is.
and revegetated, yes, sir.
It is, okay. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. One of the, in the process of development, the ultimate goal is that we've been in discussion with the city of Plant City, and those areas are going to be taken over by the city to use for their use.
Thank you.
All right, were there any more questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Discussion points? Not seeing any at this time. I will go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we fund City of Plant City CPA-2207 consistent with the 2040 plan for Plant City and forward on to the Plant City Commission.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Any comments or discussion from the commissioners on the item? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Buzza?
Yes?
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to announce again our item 2D PCCPA 22-08 was continued to December 12th, I believe. Mr. Hudson? That's correct, December 12th. So we will be moving on to 2E PCCPA 22-09 Future Land Use Map Amendment, north of North Frontage Road and west of North Maryland Avenue. And the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. Just give me one moment. Oops. Again, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. Tonight I'm presenting for you a Future Land Use Map Amendment 2209. A portion of this site was voluntarily annexed in April of 2022, so that was quite recently, into the city of Plant City. The amendment site is generally located in the northeast side of Plant City, approximately a half a mile west of Park Road and Interstate 4, which is an interchange and also considered a commercial activity center. Specifically, the site's located north of North Frontage Road, west of North Maryland Avenue, south of East Sam Allen Road, and east of Prochie Road. Okay. Plant City developed a vision map or a vision plan for this area, which is illustrated by the vision map shown on the right side of your screen. The proposed amendment site falls within the boundaries of the Northeast Master Plan boundary and is referred to as the Northeast Quadrant. This area is envisioned to be the focal point for future residential development north of I-4. The gold star shows the location of the amendment site, which is approximately a half a mile west of a major commercial activity center, which I did mention. It's shown by the red triangle next to the gold star, and it is the Park Road and I-4 interchange. To give you a little background, this is a privately initiated future land use map amendment proposed for 67 acres. The applicant is requesting a change from Hillsborough County Residential 1 and Plant City Commercial to Plant City Industrial. This is an aerial of the site outlining the site in the pink dashed line, showing the existing uses and roadways in the area. The area reflects a mixture of rural residential and agricultural uses. The site has access off two roadways, Maryland Avenue to the east and North Frontage Road to the south. The roadways are distinctly different in that North Frontage Road is recognized as a commercial industrial corridor providing access to the interchange of I-4 to the east and west. As mentioned earlier, the Park Road and I-4 interchange is a major commercial activity center within a half a mile of the amendment site to the east. The activity center is currently developed on the north side of I-4 with a large community support use on the west side of Park Road and a car dealership surrounded by an expansive inventory lot on the east side of Park Road. Maryland Avenue, on the other hand, is recognized as a residential corridor and provides local access to the existing residential communities in the area. Notable residential development, not shown very clearly. I don't know if you can see my cursor. There we go. In vicinity of the amendment site includes North Park Isles, which is at the intersection of East Sam Allen Road and North Park Road. It's a large planned residential community located, as I said, off of Sam Allen Road to the north. And further to the west, there's a large mobile home community named Meadows at Countrywood. Now at a street view, we'll take you around the periphery of the amendment site. This is actually looking from North Frontage Road directly at the access point on North Frontage Road of the amendment site. Okay, and this is looking west down North Frontage Road towards Paul Buckman Highway from Prochie Road, which is just west of the amendment site. And then this is looking northeast from North Frontage Road at the property next to the amendment site to the left. Again, this is looking north up Prochie Street and north from North Frontage Road. The amendment site is to the right. It's behind this stand of trees. This is looking west and looking north up Maryland Avenue at the amendment site, or looking towards the amendment site, that is. Okay, this is looking west from Maryland Avenue at the amendment site. As you can see, it's agricultural. It probably was used for crops or pasture land. This is looking northeast from Maryland Avenue across from the amendment site, so the amendment site is on the left. This is looking east from the intersection of North Maryland Avenue and North Frontage Road towards the activity center, Park Road and I-4 interchange. Now we're on the northern end of the property. We're looking north across Sam Allen Road from North Maryland Avenue at the planned community of North Park Isles. This is the adopted future land use map for Plant City. The amendment site consists of 58 acres designated Hillsborough County Residential 1 and 7.25 acres designated Plant City Commercial. The blue dashed line indicates Plant City's city limits. The entire amendment site is within Plant City, although the northern portion of the site is currently retaining the Hillsborough County land use designation of Residential 1 due to the recent annexation. Amending the Hillsborough County designation to a Plant City designation is needed to bring it into conformance with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan. In the county surrounding the land to the north, the area is predominantly Residential 1. Land to the west and south have designations of either Hillsborough County 1 or Suburban Mixed Use 6. Land in Plant City on the other side of the blue line to the west of the amendment site are designated industrial, and to the east side of Maryland Avenue they are designated commercial. This is the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan and the associated map, the preferred land use scenarios map. This scenario map shows the amendment site as Residential 4, the majority of the site as Residential 4 with some industrial. The small portion of the site that fronts on North Frontage extending west is envisioned to be industrial. The properties extending westward on North Frontage Road and along the west side of Maryland Avenue are anticipated to be commercial. This is the proposed amendment site, and basically it shows the entire site as industrial. So what are the impacts from this proposed change? Currently, up to 82 dwelling units could potentially be developed, and in addition, up to 110,000 square feet approximately of commercial and office could be developed. Based on the proposed change, that would eliminate any residential development, and it would significantly increase the amount of industrial use square footage to 1.4 million square feet. In summary, it would eliminate residential development potential and introduce industrial uses adjacent to areas predominantly designated as low-density residential. We distributed this amendment for agency comment. We received general comments regarding transportation, and that transportation improvements would be coordinated with Hillsborough County and the Florida Department of Transportation at such time of development. Water and wastewater services are available according to the Plant City Utilities Department, and the Environmental Protection Commission noted that they regulate the protection of wetlands at the time of permitting. The proposed change to the Plant City industrial category does not support the overall concepts of the Northeast Master Plan. Okay. It sets the stage for incompatibilities between the existing and planned single-family homes and the potential introduction of intense industrial uses. Let me go back here. Planning staff noted that the proposed change did not support overall the concepts of the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan. The proposed change to industrial doesn't align and support the mixed-use village concept, which envisions low-density residential development south of Sam Allen Road and west of North Maryland Avenue, which includes the majority of the proposed amendment site. Staff does note that the preferred land use scenario map envisions the southernmost property included in the plan amendment site as industrial, and also notes that although the amendment was industrial at one point, in 2018 the property and one directly north of the site was amended to commercial. This southern parcel provides the amendment site with direct access to North Frontage Road, which serves as an industrial commercial corridor between North Park Road to the east and Paul Buckman Highway to the west. Currently, 4 of the subject properties, as well as the land north and west of the amendment site, are identified for future residential development and growth on the scenarios map. Staff recognizes the change to industrial would set the stage for incompatibilities, as I stated earlier, and introduce the opportunity for intense industrial uses and intrusive uses not anticipated in a residential area. If the industrial designation would eliminate the potential, if the industrial designation would eliminate the potential for residential uses on site and an area that is anticipated predominantly for residential development per the land use scenario map. Allowing uses dissimilar and not functionally related to residential development could weaken the identity and cohesiveness of the commercial activity center identified at Park Road and I-4 and lead to further encroachment of industrial uses. Staff reviewed the proposed change to the Plant City Industrial category and found it was inconsistent with the comprehensive plan objectives and policies found in the following sections: community development, enhancing hometown charm, growth management and redevelopment strategies, economic growth, and compatibility and design. These objectives and policies are provided in your packet for your reference and review. In summary, these policies encourage development patterns that enhance compatibility between residential and other uses, and on the flip side, discourage those development patterns that may cause discord and conflict between dissimilar uses. In conclusion, staff finds that the proposed change is in conflict with the above listed policies and objectives based on the site's location, compatibility with the surrounding land uses, and the vision illustrated by the preferred land use map. The change is contradictory to the overall intent for future development in the northeast quadrant of Plant City and the envisioned village center for this area. After your review and recommendation, this plan amendment will be going to the Planning Board on September 28th for consideration and the City Commission for transmittal November 28th. The date for the City Commission adoption hearing, if it goes to that meeting, is to be determined. With that being said, Planning Commission staff recommends that PC CPA 2209 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here to give a presentation as well.
Good evening again. Phil Walden, 2736 Gulf Lake Drive, Plant City, Florida. We thank Krista for her report. There's a couple things I need to talk about here. The main issue I think we're seeing when they're talking about inconsistency is having to deal with the Northeast Master Plan. The Northeast Master Plan in Plant City was put in about 2000, I believe 2008, and it's been, now it's 2022. At that time, the City Commission, their vision along that area was more that village center, and still is, but along the interstate, that has transitioned in about the last 5 years. If you look along those areas of Plant City, you see the corporate distribution warehousing. I know Krista mentioned, intense industrial uses. Actually, what we have here is a corporate distribution center warehousing. I have a picture here. How do you put it on here, Krista? Show you. There you go. There you go. Bring it up some. There you go. That is what we're proposing there. Is that I don't really look at it as an intense industrial use. In Plant City, really the only intense industrial area is in the southwest side of Plant City, the old Plant City Industrial Park. If you go out there, you have I call them the nice, nasty uses. You have like hardy manufacturing, you have the noise, odors, dust, and glare, and those types of uses. Along the interstate, the City Commission has deemed these are the areas that they feel are appropriate for this type of use. Along the I-4 corridor, which is a major arterial, actually a limited access road. You got Frontage Road, which is a collector. Maryland's a local road, but we have no access on Maryland. We have then you have the basically not Jim Redmond, but Paul Buckman Highway, which is a collector. So the road system around there is conducive to this type of use. And if you look, here's a copy of another picture here. The actual square footage we're looking at on this project, it says in here 1.4 million. We're actually at 872,000. So our actual floor area ratio we're looking at out there is like a 0.29 instead of a 0.5. So it's very low intensity. We've looked at the access along Maryland Avenue in the site plan. We've already come in for the zoning. That's what he's showing here. And there is no access onto Maryland Avenue. We were very cognizant of that and that use. And so the access will be off of Frontage Road. The other thing I want to bring up here, my little notes here. Again, if you look at this area, primarily you've got the red, which is commercial, and you look at the gray, which is industrial. And like I said before, it's an industrial category, but it's really not an intense industrial category. It's like a corporate warehouse. As far as there's mention of rural character and maintaining rural character in the area, like Chris had mentioned, up there to the northwest there, you have Country Meadows, which is a mobile home subdivision. It's been there for quite a few years. It's a pretty intense use. Then on to northeast up there, you have North Park Isles. North Park Isles right now has been approved by the City Commission for 2,600 homes. So it's a pretty significant use. So we feel, again, if you look along the highway there, the type of use here, even on the south side of the interstate, you have industrial. So we feel like this is an appropriate use in that area, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, we had a couple people sign up for this one, so let me go through the list here. Didn't have anyone sign up virtually for this one. Nope, so we'll just go to the people on the list here, and we will start off with, let me remind everyone, 3 minutes per person. And the first one we have sign up was Kate Bader. Okay. Okay, that was the next person, so that takes care of those two. And next up, we have Sean Terrell.
Yes. Sean Terrell with Seafried Properties. I live at 6180 Sun Boulevard in St. Petersburg. I just wanted to reflect what our consultant had brought up as well. This isn't a high-intensity use. This is more of a warehouse, commercial use. When we design these different facilities, we definitely look at the surrounding communities because we want to be a good neighbor. So our truck courts are internal to keep all the noise and everything away from the outside. So we keep our ponds to the outside. A lot of times those are designated by the water where it's going to go anyway. And then we also put in a lot of berming and other things we actually have submitted to Plant City to make sure that it is good, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. We understand what the current use is, but we also understand from our due diligence that the industrial looks like it should be here. It's a good use, and we just want to be a good neighbor and do what's right. Like Phil had also said, we aren't going to access Maryland. That's a 2-lane. It's a residential road. It doesn't belong. It shouldn't have any truck or any other traffic on it. Any questions for me?
Thank you. There's a public comment. All right. Next up, we have Alan Henderson. All right. Alan Henderson, and no, I'm not, what does that say? Okay. And that looks like it for public comment sign up. So I will give it back to the applicant if they wanted to make a response to anything that was said. I know we only had one person who spoke. Okay. I will turn it over to the commissioners at this point in time for questions, discussions, comments on this item. Commissioner Buzza?
Just wanted to point out something that Mr. Walden brought up. There is a fair amount of industrial and commercial to the east of the subject property. I know the area pretty well. You have Stingray Chevrolet, the new South Florida Baptist Hospital is coming in at that intersection. There'll be a lot of medical development as a result, North Park Isles. So this industrial usage, I really don't think is too far out of character for the neighborhood. And it does have access to I-4 right there, so it won't be too much of a strain on the roadways. My 2 cents.
Commissioner Orton, did you have a comment or?
I was just wondering if we could see the first architectural picture you had, and then the second one. One looked very nice, and then the other one looked like warehouses, and I wasn't sure which one would be facing Frontage Road. Yes, that one, which looked very nice. And then you had another picture.
You're talking about the site plan.
And which one would be along Frontage Road?
We'll show you here. This might help you.
Okay. And would you be accessing Frontage Road?
Pardon me?
Would you be accessing Frontage Road?
Yes, ma'am.
So that doesn't actually give you I-4. You have to go to the next exit?
It's about, yes, ma'am, you go down to either Paul Buckman Highway to the west, or you can go to Park Road to the east. Both of them intersections, major intersections that would access to the project.
Okay. And then you had another picture. So the first picture is the one that is off of Frontage that people will see, and then this one is behind?
They're all very similar as far as the, it's all showing the front, but this is kind of from Frontage Road looking towards the facility. This is just more of an aerial shot. And then, go back to that one. This one is just basically being on the ground, kind of looking at the buildings.
Straight into it.
But, and then you said there would be a berm around it for the neighbors in landscaping or something, so they wouldn't have to be able to see the big buildings.
We have probably 120 or 150 foot setback to the west, and it's a 100-foot setback to the east, and there's a 30-foot landscape buffer around the properties.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kress?
I wondered if any of you were involved in the development or provided input for the Northeast Master Plan?
I was.
And you
Years
made
ago.
comments that it was maybe a little outdated and probably needs an update. Is that kind of what I was reading into your comments?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, there's been a lot of discussion at the planning board with the city. And a little bit of my background, I used to be the planning director for the city, and I was the city manager years ago. So I'm very intimately involved with what was changing there. There's been a lot of comments about the Northeast Master Plan and the transition of that area. And it's been before the planning board, and I believe, Mark, you can correct me on this one, but it's something that the planning board wants to look at. So,
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with the question, like what's the city's position on all of this?
Very recent development on that. The Northeast Master Plan is about 15 years old now. We just last week received a request from the city to reevaluate and assist them in potentially updating the preferred land use scenario of the Northeast Master Plan, and we're going to be endeavoring over the coming months to do that. However, until that process is complete, what we utilize to guide us in development of this area remains the adopted preferred land use scenario from the Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
That you all helped, did you help them with that?
I did.
Yeah.
I began my work with Plant City in 2002. It was quite an intensive effort. We're going to start some discussions with city staff about how to go about that, but it's going to be a much more focused effort than what was done back in 2007. We're going to concentrate on that preferred land use scenario. I will say for this plan amendment and the next one, if the either one of the applicants wish to continue their plan amendments and wait to see what the results of that analysis is, we would be supportive of that. But it will take some time to actually go through that process.
Full disclosure, I was on the Plant City Planning Board for that as well. So.
And if
We're all here.
if I may continue. So I'm not that familiar with the area, but is there, it sounds like there's a growing residential happening nearby as well. Is there enough commercial land to serve the intended growing residential population out there? Is there a shortage of industrial land? I mean, can you kind of justify it from that
That's kind of a
angle?
double question. Yes, ma'am. As far as industrial, and again, the city commission, they're looking at the I-4 corridor, and they're looking at the what do you call it? I just lost it. The County Line Road area as their area for industrial. On the south of town, you got the gateway area, which Mark mentioned earlier, I believe. That area there is pretty much defined as a commercial corridor. There's not going to be any industrial down. It'll be a commercial corridor transitioning to residential. So there is enough land out in that area to do it.
You okay? All right. All right. Were there any more questions, or Commissioner Fernandez?
I'll just comment that, I think this site does make sense for an industrial site. It is right on the frontage road there. I don't see too much residential development in the area. There are some houses, I understand their concern on the edges, but I think, with all the residential development we've been approving in this area, it's, that we also need some job locations. So I definitely support this project.
I should add that if we're going to go against the staff's recommendation of an inconsistency finding, that commissioners should make sure they have some goals, objectives, or policies to put with that motion to go against what staff has, because they have a very broad report that they have put together here to find that inconsistency finding. So keep that in mind as we go forward, but I'll kick it back around for more discussion on this item and questions from the commissioners. Yes, Commissioner, I'm sorry. Ms. Juanita.
Well, you stole one of the things I was going to mention, but the other, I just wanted to reiterate that the site plan and renderings that were shown, there's nothing about this plan amendment that commits them to doing those drawings. That would have to come later as part of the zoning process. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
All right. Are there any more discussion items or thoughts from the commissioners on this item? Questions? Not seeing any furrowed brows or too much movement, then I will go ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up for motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for, I'm going to find the legal title of it again. City of Plant City CPA 22-09 to find Hillsborough County Residential 1 to Plant City Commercial to Plant City Industrial, to find it consistent with the Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan and forward on to the Plant City Commission, citing 745, 747, and 835, and compatibility of the neighboring properties.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding citing 745, 747, and 8.35 having to do with compatibility of the neighborhood. And that was by Commissioner Buzza. We had a second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Are there any more comments or questions, clarifications from the commissioners? Go forward. Not seeing any. Then I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, our next item, get my place back here again, is 2F PC CPA-2210, Future Land Use Map Amendment, and it is west of Charlie Taylor Road and north of North Frontage Road, and the presenter is Krista Kelly again.
Thank you. Good evening. Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. I'm presenting tonight Future Land Use Map Amendment 2210. Okay, this amendment site is generally located in the northeast side of Plant City, a little over a mile west of the County Line Road. The site is specifically located west of Charlie Taylor Road, which is a north-south road, south of Midway Road, and east of North Wilder Road. Also relevant to the proposed amendment site location is the Plant City Vision Map. The map provides guidance for the land use decisions furthering the goals that have been adopted as part of the Northeast Plant City Master Plan. The gold star locates the proposed amendment site in the northeast quadrant, which is governed by the master plan. The northeast quadrant is envisioned to support the area, established residential communities, and to accommodate future residential development patterns resulting from annexation. Anticipated residential areas are shaded in that beige yellow color. To give you background, this is a privately initiated amendment. The site was voluntarily annexed in February of 2021. It consists of 206 acres approximately, and the applicant's requesting a change from Hillsborough County Residential 1 to Plant City Industrial. This is an aerial of the site and the surrounding area. The area is rural and agricultural in character. The home sites are on large tracts. And home sites are on large tracts and in neighborhoods. The residential development gains access off of Swindell Road, which bounds the site on the south, and Charlie Taylor Road, which bounds the site on the east. The residential character is established and growing as anticipated and consistent with the Northeast Master Plan. Okay, these are street views. This is looking northwest from the intersection of Charlie Taylor Road and Swindell Road. That blue arrow in the sky is indicating the north or the southeast corner of the amendment site. This is looking west down Swindell Road. The amendment site is on the right. And this is looking across from Swindell Road at the amendment site, looking north. And this is looking from Swindell Road south down Charlie Taylor Road towards the North Frontage Road and I-4 intersection. You can kind of see the overpass in the distance. This is looking west from Charlie Taylor Road at the amendment site, going north towards Midway Road. Going further north, this is looking west from Charlie Taylor Road at a residential development that abuts the northwest boundary of the amendment site, going north towards Midway Road. And again, this is looking west from Charlie Taylor Road. This is looking from Vieira towards East Knights Griffin Road. Vieira is a very large mixed-use plan development consisting of over 1,000 acres and approximately allowing up to 2,500 dwelling units. This is the adopted future land use map showing the proposed amendment site outlined in the black dashed line. The site is white, identifying the transitional area due to the recent voluntary annexation of the site, and still retains the Hillsborough County Residential 1 future land use designation. As a result of the amendment to Plant City designation is needed to bring it into conformance with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan. The amendment site is surrounded by Hillsborough County Residential 1 outside the Plant City city limits, which are shown by the blue dotted line. Within the city limits, the area is predominantly designated Plant City Residential 4 with scattered portions of natural preservation. Residential 4 is the lowest designation the city allows and is generally intended to provide a buffer along the fringe of urbanizing areas and to provide a transition and buffer to the surrounding agricultural areas. This is the Northeast Master Plan Preferred Land Use Scenario Map, which shows the subject site outlined in black, a black dashed line. The map illustrates the anticipated residential development pattern in the area and shows the northern portion of the site designated Residential 4, and the Residential 6 is located in the south portion of the site. Charlie Taylor Road serves as a residential corridor serving the existing development and is envisioned by the Northwest Master Plan to support the core of the village center, planned to be located centrally at Midway Road and Charlie Taylor Road. Vieira, based on its size and scale, Vieira is approximately a 1,000-acre planned mixed-use development with entitlements approximately 2,640 homes, 345 square feet of commercial, civic, and educational uses, along with 50,000 square feet of office space. And this is located, again, north of the amendment site. Vieira, based on its size and scale, sets the tone for this area and the residential densities anticipated with the site and complements and further supports the blueprint envisioned for the area as a sustainable, cohesive, village-oriented community. This is the proposed amendment site showing the site designated industrial. Currently, the site allows up to 206 dwelling units, and there is no non-residential use permitted based on locational criteria. The potential development would increase the square footage of industrial uses to 4.4 million square feet. However, no residential uses would be permitted. Essentially, this change would eliminate residential development potential on the site and introduce industrial uses into a predominantly residential corridor in the area. Again, this was distributed for agency comments. They were very general and similar to the other comments. Transportation improvements will be coordinated with Hillsborough County and the Florida DOT. Water and wastewater services can be met, and the existing available capacity can serve that development. According to the Plant City Utility Department, the Environmental Protection Commission regulates the protection of wetlands at this time and would regulate any changes on site at the permitting stage. Planning staff notes that there are a number of overriding planning issues apparent with the proposed establishment of industrial in this area. The proposed change differs greatly from the vision of the village center endorsed by the Northeast Master Plan that guides future growth in this area. Diverging from the Northeast Master Plan land use scenario map could potentially compromise the ability to achieve the desired development pattern by dismantling the cohesive character of clustered residential development. The proposed industrial land use designation is in contradiction to what is shown on the preferred land use scenario map, which is residential 4 and 6, and conflicts with the overall village center concept illustrated by the map. Staff finds that it would set the stage for potential incompatibilities with existing and future single-family development. Staff also noted it could potentially introduce truck traffic and industrial-related activities along a residential corridor. And finally, staff notes that this change would eliminate the potential for residential development on site. Establishing an industrial designation is inconsistent and conflicts with the overall village center concept illustrated by the preferred land use scenario map. Staff reviewed the proposed change to the Plant City Industrial and found inconsistencies with the comprehensive plan objectives and policies related to the following topics: residential development, community development, enhancing hometown charm, growth management, and redevelopment strategies, and economic growth. These policies are in your packet and available for your detailed review. In summary, these policies encourage development patterns to enhance compatibility between residential uses and other uses. The policies also call for the proposed change of the amendment site to industrial based on the location, the surrounding area, and those uses, and the vision illustrated by the preferred land use map. It is contradictory to those policies and does not meet the overall intent of the Northeast Quadrant Plant City Master Plan and what was envisioned as a village center for this area. Again, this is the schedule that you've seen a number of times before. Following this meeting, this plan amendment will be presented to the Planning Board on September 28th. It will go to the City Commission for consideration of transmittal to DEO, or the Department of Economic Opportunity, on November 28th, and the date for potential adoption is to be determined. That being said, the Planning Commission staff recommends that PC CPA 2210 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission. And that concludes my presentation, and the applicant is also here to provide information and presentation. I'm sorry, yeah.
You have a brief PowerPoint.
Which one is it?
I'll be mindful, I'm the only thing standing in the way of you all getting home at a decent hour tonight. I did want to also pass out copies of a letter of support from the Plant City EDC that we just received today, so we could make it in our package.
There we go.
It did? Oh, great, okay. Mark, as always, is on the ball.
There you go.
Thanks,
All
Krista.
yours.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Jake Kramer with Stearns Weaver Miller. It's been a while since I've appeared before you in person, so for those who don't know me, I'm a land use attorney. I also have a professional planning background. I worked at the Department of Community Affairs. So as staff mentioned, our request tonight is to transition an area that hasn't received a Plant City designation. It was annexed recently, and we're requesting an industrial designation. We have filed a companion PD rezoning that's not before you tonight, but just so you know, we're requesting 2.4 million square feet, which is about 60% of the total that we could request. It's a $200 million capital investment with approximately 800 jobs expected. So you've learned a little bit about the Northeast Master Plan tonight, but I think the nature and scale of the changes we're proposing, I think, deserves a little bit of macroeconomic background for you to understand why we're making this request. Industrial is undergoing massive change. As this commission probably knows, we've seen changes over the past 10 years in the industrial space, especially what we call light industrial, logistics, e-commerce, but COVID really greatly accelerated that change. So what we've seen is even pre-COVID the investment dollars coming into this space were increasing sixfold, and that was those are pre-COVID numbers. In both the U.S. and in Florida, we're seeing historic lows of industrial vacancies. And the other big change we're seeing, hence properties like this one, is that the biggest and best users of these spaces are demanding larger and larger spaces. So the top 12 users that are looking for space in the I-4 corridor right now are all looking for at least 1 million square feet. Those are end users. Pre-COVID, 1 million square feet was pretty much unheard of. That's more or less the norm now. And you can start to see this in this deal velocity chart. These are big brand names that are coming to the I-4 corridor, and you can see since 2014, those that are demanding over 250,000 square feet, it increases, and again, it's increasing at an increasing rate. And so your question is probably, well, where is this coming from? What are the trends? The reason this is happening is because, number one, post-COVID, in the era moving beyond COVID, right, what's happened is we've gone from a hub and spoke model, mostly based in Atlanta, to what we call a bulk model, which is where you bring the hubs basically to the people, right? So all of these hubs aren't necessarily serving the end user, but a lot of them are, right? Your Amazons of the world, those hubs are coming right to your neighborhood. And because it's light industrial, you can buffer those uses and use creative design techniques that we couldn't with sort of the old style industrial projects. The other change is there's not enough land aggregated in South Florida to be able to service these users, these 1 million plus square foot users. So what we're seeing is they're coming to Central Florida so that they can service all the way down to South Florida, but then they can also service up into South Georgia and get some interstate commerce. And then as a result of that, what we've learned is here in Central Florida, we have a big competitive advantage over the hubs in Atlanta. It only costs us about half as much to ship to Atlanta than it does vice versa. So there's a competitive advantage in this corridor. And, again, as this commission, you'll probably hear about this just about every meeting. The demand at the consumer level is also increasing. And so these companies are essentially chasing where their consumers are going. All of these counties, with the exception of Pinellas, which is basically built out, are seeing growth over a 7-year period projected to be over 25%. So that sets the stage for the request. Again, Krista described the request. We're in the northeast quadrant. The property is approximately 200 acres, and the Plant City Comprehensive Plan directs growth to this quadrant of the city. Now, the plan calls for a mix of jobs. We're looking for the jobs housing balance, right? And as you heard from Mr. Waldron, who's also on our team, the Plant City Master Plan is a vision that it's 14 years old now. It is getting a little bit long in the tooth. It was originally designed to be a conceptual plan that was not regulatory. So the request tonight before you is a little bit different than you normally see. This is not a request to change the future land use map. It's a request to approve something, allow this project to move forward, even though it may be somewhat different than a vision plan. Now, the plan does provide for policies that staff has described that describe exactly what we look at when we have a case where we think the plan needs to be adjusted. This particular property is identified for fairly low density residential, even though it's basically adjacent to commercial uses. It's a stone throw from industrially designated areas, and we're very, very close to all 3 intersections. Now, this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but going back to 2008, just to remember what was going on when this plan was actually adopted, right? BlackBerries were still the most popular phone in America. President Obama, when this plan was adopted, was still in the midst of his first presidential race. Netflix was still shipping DVDs. And I think most important, it was Bear Stearns had just collapsed, and we weren't even in the depths of the Great Recession when this plan was adopted in the summer of '08. The other important thing to know about the plan, and this is not really through anyone's fault, this is simply what happens when plans aren't adjusted as the realities on the ground change. There were a lot of different tasks in the plan that were specified that were supposed to be implemented. Unfortunately, some of those were started. Those implementation tasks to turn the plan from a vision to reality or to a regulatory plan, they were not, they're incomplete still. The biggest one of those was a joint planning agreement that was supposed to occur between the city and the county. The idea was, as the city annexes this land, both entities need a plan for what's going to happen. The plan actually says that's the most important aspect of everything that was done here to implement it, and that was never done. And perhaps as a result of that, some of the most important transportation improvements that were called for in the master plan have yet to be implemented. And again, I think like the application you just saw before you tonight, this is why we see year after year, in my opinion, numerous applicants coming before you to request a designation that's different than what that 14-year-old plan envisioned. Now, there was a North Alexander Street study that actually included, this was in 2018, and this goes to some of Commissioner Kress's concerns and questions earlier in the night. That study, they did a market study of the entire Northeast Master Plan area. And the big upshot for an application like this one is what that plan, or what that study found, was that we need more industrial in the master plan. That change has never been implemented. So you're left with 4 issues to review according to the plan when there's a proposal that's different from what's in the vision. I've just described to you number 1, which is why are we proposing something different? Number 2 and 3 sort of go together. Basically the idea here is what you're doing going to adversely affect the idea of a village? And along with that, how are you affecting the growth assumptions that led to the development of that village concept? And then number 4, that focuses on public facilities, but the staff agrees with us in the staff report. That's not really an issue tonight. So with that, I'd like our AICP planner, Cynthia Spidell, to say a few words. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Spidell. I'm with Stearns Weaver. Do I have to say I'm sworn for 1 East Jackson Street? I've been sworn. No? Okay. So thank you, just making sure. So at any rate, thanks for the introduction, Jake. This slide here, I think, really sort of summarizes everything that has changed in planning since the Northeast Master Plan was adopted back in 2008. And the slide says e-commerce boom, but it's really an e-commerce explosion. And I think there are 2 messages that this slide really homes in on, and that is trip modeling. And the other one is that it's critical to have these e-commerce sites and industrial sites in close proximity to your residential, whether it's an urban neighborhood or a suburban neighborhood. It's critical to have them in close location. And there's been a lot of pressure and a lot of demand for these types of industrial warehouse, sort of light industrial sites in close proximity. So I was glad that staff mentioned the mixed use, because the only way you're going to have a mixed use area is to have a mix of uses. And this really provides Plant City with a unique opportunity to bring that mixed use in closer proximity to residential uses that's also right next to I-4. So let's start. So the 2 messages, trip modeling, that's the first message. So e-commerce explosion, right? So the Northeast Master Plan was adopted about 14, or Mark said 15 years ago. So to put the timing of this e-commerce explosion into perspective, 10 years ago, e-commerce represented 4% of all retail sales in the United States. Today, it's a $750 billion industry, and it's 13.6% of all retail sales. And in 2025, it's estimated that'll be 26%. So your traditional village center, brick and mortar retail, that demand is decreasing, and it's being replaced by this e-commerce model. And so as a result, trip generation has changed. So the IT trip generation manual, I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's sort of the manual that all transportation planners and engineers look to. They don't even have studies or models that really accurately model or study e-commerce sites, in particular that last mile delivery center. So this to me really kind of says it all. You know, this is how it changed in the old days. People would get in their car, they'd drive to the grocery store, and yes, we still do that too, but there's also a lot of people getting their groceries delivered. You know, I can I left my running belt at my friend's house the other day, and I literally ordered one and had one delivered to my house 2 hours later so I can make my evening run-in. So it's really, really changed. And I think that the Northeast Master Plan, you know, in the light of all these changes, really does need to be updated. So the second one is the proximity to the village center. And staff talked a lot about how the Northeast Master Plan wants these village centers. So, and I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think by having these sites in close proximity to where people live will actually help people have jobs in close proximity, and also will minimize the trips, because this e-commerce is coming. It's on I-4. This gives Plant City a seat at the table and a bite at the apple to have a site in close proximity to Plant City residents. How do I get to the next slide? There we go. So I really like this one, because if you're looking for anything from your comp plan to support a consistency determination, land use goal number 2 says to sustain the viability of existing and emerging commercial and industrial areas to achieve an integrated land use fabric, which will offer a full range of employment, shopping, and leisure opportunities to support the residential areas of Plant City. Now, if you look here, the purple is industrial, and I think the light purple is Plant City Industrial, and the hashed is I-4 Tech Corridor. And it's all south of I-4. So basically, anybody who lives north of I-4 has got to get in their car, they got to drive south, and anybody who's getting delivery, all those vans are moving the same way. So to me, this is segregated land uses. And by allowing industrial sites to explore the northern part of the I-4 corridor, you're allowing integration of land uses, which actually helps your trip distribution situation. So just want to make sure I got everything. So let's go to the next slide. And again, so land use policy 2.1.3, buffering residential uses from the negative impacts of non-residential development, physical, visual, or auditory, through the use of walls, berms, landscaped areas, or distance requirements. Well, this site has a unique characteristic in that there is a natural buffer around this site. So you can see there, this slide shows the interconnected wetland system to the north and west, and then on the other side, you actually have a mitigation bank. So we're lucky in that we have some natural considerations that already promote that compatibility concerns that typically arise with industrial sites in proximity to residential areas. And with that, I'm happy to, oh yeah, support from the comprehensive plan. There are, like I said, there's land use goal number 2, which sustains the viability of existing and emerging commercial industrial areas to achieve integrated land use fabric. And in particular, there's another one in the economic element, 7.4.9, actively pursue clean, non-polluting, non-offensive industrial development in order to diversify the economic base and provide for expanded employment opportunities in Plant City. So I'm not going to go through all of the different ones, but if you have any other specific ones, or if you need more consistency policies, I'm happy to provide that. But land use objective 8.3 and comp plan page 40 specifically states that industrial areas should be located in proximity to residential areas to provide close proximity to workforce and to provide employment opportunities. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Jake for the conclusion. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake Kramer again. So with that, we ask for your support tonight and for you to find this application consistent. I think Cynthia's giving you some policies that you can use to do that if you're so inclined. Again, this is, we feel like your staff was constrained tonight by an outdated plan. The comprehensive plan does allow for adjustments if we make showings, including market conditions. That's one of the showings we can make in the comprehensive plan. So that's what we feel like we've done tonight. We're here to answer any questions, and appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We had a few people sign up, although I've met some of them already, but I'm going to still go through the list just to be thorough. We will start off with, oh, actually, I had a virtual person, so let me start off with that person because they might not be here. Virtually, I had Melissa Ramirez again. We want to check for Melissa Ramirez. Are they on the line, HTV? Possibly? I hope so. HTV, you there? You guys still there?
Stand by.
Hello?
John and Melissa, are you there?
Nope. All right. Well, we tried. Thank you. All right. We'll move on to the people in the room. All right. And first one I have signed up in the room is Norman Keith.
My name is Norman Keith. I'm at 2658 Charlie Taylor Road, which is directly across the street from this proposed land use adjustment. I'm obviously here tonight to voice my opinion against it. I think it's completely inconsistent, and you know, we've pointed to the fact that the land use and the master plan is dated. I think there's, you know, been some reconsideration in the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, which appears to me to have been looked at as early as 2016, which granted things have changed, but this is still completely misaligned with any future land use plans that I've been able to find for the Plant City area. I've lived out there about 5 years, and this just seems just completely misaligned. There's already millions of square feet of warehouse space within a mile of the area. To the south of I-4 off of South Frontage Road, there's 2 warehouses under construction currently. This is, as the map showed, would be the only industrial space surrounded by residential. And if some of you are familiar with that area, Swindell is a very, very small, narrow road. It's not going to handle this traffic. Charlie Taylor, again, a collector, but not a large road. So I think the transportation infrastructure is completely inadequate, and it would be very costly to improve it. I've worked in transportation for 22 years. The writing is on the wall with what's going to happen out here in the future, and having truck traffic coming in and out is just not going to help. Currently, as far as I can tell, there doesn't appear to be any stormwater systems in the area, so that's another improvement that'll have to be made that'll be, you know, costly to the area. I'm not quite familiar with the buffer that was talked about between this parcel and the residences, like, for example, to the east on Charlie Taylor. We look across the fence and we see all the way to the other side of that pasture, so I don't know what kind of a buffer is there. I sure don't know of any, as mentioned. So we're worried that the excessive noise and the light pollution would definitely have a negative impact. And by the way, the picture really didn't show, but on the east side of Charlie Taylor, all the way up from Swindell, there's houses. And it really didn't show any of that, but it's houses all the way up. So the electric grid, you know, I realize that'll be upgraded with something like this. They're doing that with the current warehouse construction to the south, but currently it has to be inadequate. It can barely service what's already there in terms of residences. Power goes on and off all the time. So just in closing, for me, I'm against the plan. I understand that comprehensive plans need to be updated, but you know, that doesn't make this right. Even if this is an older plan, you can look at a map and the surrounding land uses, and it just doesn't make sense for land use in Plant City. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next up, we have Karen Keith.
Hi. I'm going to speak more from an emotionally point of view. When we moved out 5 years ago to Charlie Taylor Road, we can see the pasture, and I understand it's not always going to be a pasture. At some point, there's going to be homes or something there. We were told that it was zoned residential, 1 home per acre. And I'm like, okay, well, sometimes that's not so bad, because then you get some of the benefits of having a nice community across from you. You know, maybe you get FiOS, maybe some upgraded infrastructure, and a place to walk. Never would I have thought that it would become an industrial area. Going from agricultural to residential 1 to industrial is a huge change. And it really has been stressing me out since I heard about it. We did not get a notice on this change. Nothing came in the mail. The post office says they delivered it, but it didn't come, and it didn't come to several of our neighbors. We don't even know how many people know about this change. There's no signage out there. So we felt like we had to come down and voice our opinion to kind of represent the neighborhood, but we don't know if everybody knows about it. But I think some people plan to come to the Plant City Commission, but I don't know if that's going to be too late. But this zoning just really doesn't go with the neighborhood. It doesn't at all fit the 2016 plan. That was the 2040 vision for Plant City. It's not in there. Everything around that area is in the light green, which is residential 1. There's nothing on there industrial. And I understand mixed use, but I don't think that that's the idea of mixed use, is to have industrial. I think maybe they're talking maybe some commercial or schools in there, but not really, warehouses, huge warehouses. I love Amazon, get Amazon all the time delivered to my home. I don't want to have to walk across the street to get it. I'm okay with it if it comes down, from Polk County, I just don't think that it's the right place for industrial. I think there are other places for industrial. They mentioned that south of I-4 is very heavily industrial. There's a lot of warehouses going on County Line Road. I think those are the areas that they need to be looking to for industrial and leaving the plan as it is. I think saying that the plan needs updated doesn't mean that that would be one of the updates. It could be that they would keep the plan residential. It is a residential area, and I think that Plant City is known for a rural residential feel, not, industry in the middle of residential. They're building Varea, and that borders along that industrial, which I'm like, I can't imagine that that is a good use. I implore that you deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Kramer. You signed up. I'm assuming you don't want to speak? Just for rebuttal. Okay. Well, hang on. All right. And I have Cynthia Spidel, which is you. Okay. And I have a Nicole Neubauer. Okay. All right. Well, that's all we had sign up for public comment. So now, Mr. Kramer, if you'd like to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jake Kramer again. I'm passing out a new graphic that to help show the situation of industrial in Plant City. We feel like there's a lot, right? Because industrial was designated back in the old days when you maybe only needed 20 acres for industrial. Those times have changed. With this e-commerce explosion, we need larger areas for industrial. What this map shows is the difference between areas that are designated as industrial in the Northeast Master Plan and where we have an existing use that's actually industrial, right? So that's what's in the yellow. All the areas in the red are being used for something else. So the idea here is that, again, remember in 2018, the city did a study that said, hey, we really need more industrial in the Northeast Master Plan. That never got done, and now we have this showing that even the industrial that's already in the plan, the vast majority of it is being used for something else. So if we want to achieve that jobs housing balance that the Northeast Master Plan calls for, and that the comprehensive plan as a whole calls for, then we have to find areas that are appropriate for generating jobs. We believe this area is appropriate, again, because as you look at the plan, what you see, could we switch back to the PowerPoint, please? Sorry, this is the last time we'll need to juggle. Thank you. What we believe is emerging here is really a natural non-residential node. You see the commercial uses, you see towards the east and the south, there's industrial, right? The Sudler property, Southern Oaks development, many of you have probably heard of, 2.5 million square feet of industrial just to the south of the interstate. And then as you go to the north, you've got a natural green belt. You've got a natural wetland system and a mitigation bank where that land is protected forever. So we have a node that's then protected by the green space before you get up to the mixed-use village area. So that's why we believe it's appropriate. The public, folks from the public who spoke, they did touch on a number of issues that we're not really here to discuss tonight that are more site plan issues, right? We filed that companion site plan PD that will be evaluated by the city. So that'll be evaluating things like stormwater, light pollution, noise pollution, traffic. In the city of Plant City, unlike Hillsborough County, that's when we do essentially all of the transportation analysis in Plant City. And then the buffering question, again, when we say buffering, there will be buffering in the PD site plan, but there's also buffering of the node itself, which is this graphic. That's what we were trying to show you here, how there's this natural buffering of a non-residential node that's emerging. The last thing I wanted to point out is that the PD plan that we have filed, we are not planning on accessing. It does not show any access to Swindell Road. Charlie Taylor Road is where our access will be. Charlie Taylor Road is actually a truck route. So Charlie Taylor Road is a truck route. The truck route map that's on the Planning Commission's website shows that it's been in place since at least 2014. It may predate that, but this has been designated a truck route for quite some time, and so I think there's when you move to a truck route, there's some expectation, right, that there would be potentially trucks on that road. So with that, we're here for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will turn it over to the commissioners now for questions or comments, discussions on this item. Commissioner Buzzer.
I hate to disagree with staff, but I'm on the same spot with this one we were on the last one. The parcel that we're looking at does have a natural barrier. It's on Charlie Taylor Road, which is a truck route. To the immediate east, there's the Frontage property, which is 260 acres that was just aggregated and sold to Blue Steel. Immediately south, you've got the Charlie Taylor West, which is 211 acres. It's going to be, it's already zoned industrial for additional warehouse. Half-mile south, you have City Furniture, which is 1.2 million square feet of warehouse on 113 acres. The Northeast Master Plan is really focusing a little further west to Varia and North Park Isles, section there at Park Road and Wilder. So I don't think that this is actually going to affect the village concept. Again, the Northeast Master Plan was developed during the death throes of the real estate boom. And I think there's some opportunities there that we can look at to grow outside of the old Northeast Master Plan. So the compatibility issue is not a problem for me. It's, again, my 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Buzzer. Commissioner Orden.
I am requesting that the commissioners vote with staff that this is inconsistent. I have 2 points to make. The North Park Isle is to the west. It is already an approved PD. There are 2,250 single-family units approved on that site, and also a 50-acre school site that is currently being appraised so that the school will make their offer on that site. And that's the North Park Isle. We are in the process of purchasing a 50-acre site. To the north, off of Charlie Taylor Road, which the county has noted that it is a substandard road, that the school has to make sure that that road becomes into compliance before we can build off of it. But that is part of Verera, and that is also a PD-approved plan. And that has 2,640 dwelling units. And the school has already been approved to purchase a 15-acre site, and that is on the corner of Charlie Taylor Road and Midway Road, and that's where that school will be located. So we have 2 school sites that are in that vicinity. We are already short on school sites, so we have, in the process of purchasing both of those sites from both of those PDs, which have already been approved by the Board of County Commissioners and Plant City. So I'm asking that because of these two, schools that are coming in this area, the neighborhoods, which are both over 2,000 single-family, which is, 5,000 single-family residents are coming in this area. This is not an area for industrial. This is a family area where there are going to be 2 school sites.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton. Commissioner Handy.
Thank you. Well, I think the staff nailed it actually on this one, unlike the other one, and for all of those reasons that they have listed here. You just look at those maps and it appears to be plopped down in the midst of rural low density, which is what it was proposed for. It does serve as that rural buffer to rural communities and rural residents. There's the issue with putting more traffic onto these rural roads. And the truck route part, I wonder how long ago it was designated as a truck route while we're talking about things that are outdated, and I know how difficult it is to undesignate a truck route. However, there's lots of designated truck routes. That doesn't mean that that's the greatest place for them to be. Right through the middle of Waimama is a truck route, and it's not the greatest idea with the amount of pedestrians and cyclists and so forth. So I think that the residents bring up some really good points, and I think the staff really did a very good job with interpreting for this particular one, just because of the surrounding area. And we do need a buffer between those rural areas and the more industrial or even higher density uses. Plant City, as they said, is sort of known for being a rural area, and there is plenty of the higher density already planned. So we have to maintain some of that rural and agricultural area for the future and for the existing residents. So I would side with staff that it is inconsistent. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Yes, Commissioner Cardenas.
Looking at the last one that came before us and this one, just in general, I think, a lot of the comments made having to do with the need for light industrial is right on. It's something that we're seeing consistently develop in different areas. If this doesn't go here, where does it go? Farther up north? And then we've got more trucks driving throughout towns, driving throughout cities to get there. The proximity to the I-4 corridor, I think, is something that just over time is going to continue to develop, and it's going to develop in a different way because that quicker access to the I-4 makes a big difference. I see other sites like this being needed more and more, and as I look at this, while I feel for some of the local residents, that area right there and its proximity to I-4 makes all the difference in, having these trucks driving all throughout these small areas to get to their facilities, just because there's maybe another area that seems more appropriate. Over time, this is just, it's going to continue to happen, and it's better that it happens closer to the I-4 corridor than anything.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? Commissioner Powell, I see you moving.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other commissioners brought up the development. Where exactly in relation, how far north is that you just said? Because I know there's some wetlands, that are between this site and there, so.
It's to the north. It's on Charlie Taylor Road and Midway. That's where the school site is.
School site, okay.
So the subdivision Verera is that area to the north and also to the south.
Do you know the distance from the site to Midway? Do you have an idea of how the?
I would like to share that we did a measurement, and it was approximately a mile.
Mile. Okay. All right. I do agree that this is a little bit different than the last one that we had, but I do have to lean with, you know, Commissioner Buzza and Commissioner Cardenas on this one. I think that just with the whole area and, you know, with the change that Mr. Kramer brought up with COVID, that, you know, we're seeing, you know, such a change in just overall planning and needs for, you know, the future. And, you know, part of our, you know, job is to not necessarily just think about, you know, today, but, you know, for the future, for, you know, 2040, 2045, you know, and on those horizons and where those trends are trending. And I think that with the data that we've, you know, heard and it's been, you know, presented, that, you know, this is just going to continuing, you know, to be a need. And, you know, hopefully with the, you know, such a close-ish proximity to, you know, this, you know, development, you know, maybe they'll have, you know, rather short, you know, drive to work. Maybe there's going to be a lot of folks that can be able to work at the plant, because I know that these, you know, jobs are typically well-paying jobs, you know, as well. So I think that that's just going to potentially help as we go forward. So I will support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Fernandez.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, refer to the road as a truck route. I mean, the road's 20 feet wide. I don't see one street light, any kind of traffic light or anything like that. So to be bringing in tractor trailers on a road with no infrastructure whatsoever for this kind of use, maybe one day it, you know, will be appropriate for an industrial use, but I'm just not sure the infrastructure's in place yet.
Thank you. Commissioner Kress.
It's really a shame this Northeast Master Plan isn't updated. I think that the legal team did a great job laying out a case. However, in this case, I think staff has it right. It just seems too close to residential to me, and there does seem to be other areas where it could go. So I would keep with staff's recommendation on this one.
All right. Are there any more comments? I guess I should say to this one again, whichever way the motion is made, just remember, if you're going against staff, you want to have some policies set up to put with your motion. But are there any more comments or questions or discussions of this item at this time? Commissioner Cardenas.
So thinking about this from another perspective, let's say we had a residential developer go there, and their plan was to develop residential, you know, a residential X number of units, residential homes. I mean, what conflicts would we be running into there? You know, if you think about it from that perspective, because, you know, here we're looking at this and we're strongly considering the proximity to I-4, I think. Yes, Charlie Taylor Road doesn't seem like, according to Commissioner Fernandez, that developed. But if we did go residential, what else would it be? Because it's not going to continue the way it is for a long period of time as everything continues to develop. So what are there, you know, if we went residential there, where would something like this then go? Farther north? And then if it were to go farther north, then you've got a combination of larger semis driving through farther north to get to there, and then also driving through the residential that eventually would be going here.
So I don't necessarily think that the plan would encourage the industrial to go further north. Certainly the plan does, for Plant City, encourage industrial development along I-4, along County Line Road. I think the distinction that staff made in this instance was that this is, you know, it's not on Frontage Road. It's not at an interchange. It's, you know, it's further north. We're buffered by, I mean, to the south are rural residential properties on Swindell Road. So it's kind of surrounded by residential. So that's why the Northeast Master Plan at least in its current state, says that residential is the ideal scenario for the property. Certainly, as we go through the process of updating it, we may find that there is a need for other non-residential uses, but I don't know that that necessarily means industrial uses. You know, we've seen there's a need for schools in the area. There's potentially the need for other non-residential community-serving uses like that, that might be well suited in close proximity to such large concentrations of new residential development. So that's sort of where staff was coming from.
All right, Commissioner Buzza, and then I'll come back to you, Commissioner Orton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I appreciate all the comments, and I keep circling back around to what Plant City's going to look like in the next 10 years. It's part of the Plant City small town feel will go, and just the nature of economics. The progress east from Tampa, progress west from Orlando. We are in a state of change. And again, earlier I cited some properties that are immediately to the south or immediately across the street that are in the process of annexing and also heading this route. The Charlie Taylor section, again, I don't think is the village nook that everyone thinks it should be. That would be further west on Wilder Road and Sam Allen Road to service Berea. But again, there's 200 acres to the south, just on the south side of Charlie Taylor and Frontage that is zoned industrial. It's Charlie Taylor West. You've got the city furniture immediately southwest. And there's a lot of this is going to be moving that direction. County Line Road itself is full. There is no open spaces left for warehouse on County Line Road. And all of County Line Road backs up to residential, and it's not the end of the world. It's just, when you move out in the country, you're not guaranteed anything. It's wonderful to have those views, but you're not guaranteed a view. Walden Lake in Plant City is a 2,000 units subdivision. Beautiful golf course. It's gone bankrupt. People are mad. They say, hey, we deserve a golf view. It's like, well, if you want to spend $4 million to buy it and rehab it, you can have a golf view. You're not guaranteed a golf view. So, I mean, there is property rights and property expectations, and sometimes reality of that kicks in that can't always have that vision. You know, I would love to have a golf course view if I paid for it, but if you're not going to pay the dues or buy the course, then you really can't have a say in it. And again, pray everyone has property rights. The folks here have mentioned that. I think there are some opportunities when they get to the PD situation where they can do some buffering. There's, again, my 2 cents.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton.
We talked about Charlie Taylor Road, and we were just looking at the road from an aerial view, and there are many single-family driveways off of Charlie Taylor Road. And my other concern is school buses will be stopping on Charlie Taylor Road along with these trucks. And as Commissioner said before, it's a very narrow road. And according to the county, it is a substandard road for school buses. So if it's substandard for school buses, how are we going to get all these trucks on this road? Just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any more? Yes, Commissioner Handy, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on I mean, to me, it's just, with all due respect to Commissioner Buzza, it's a little disturbing. A Plant City's going to go. I don't know how the residents feel about that. And of course not, these things aren't guaranteed. However, we have a comp plan and we have a future land use plan, and that's the closest thing that these residents have to a guarantee. And I think that we have the opportunity. That's the whole reason for this board and this commission is to, well, we don't just throw our hands up and say, oh, property rights and it's coming anyway. I think that it requires a little bit more thoughtful consideration. And I think which is why on the previous amendment, the board was all in agreement that, yeah, that it appears to be a good spot for the industrial use. So we were okay with that. But, now we're further out, we're outside the city limits. Like I said, there's agricultural areas, and, that's the whole reason we're having these debates, is so that we can determine whether it goes or not, and what we can help with the residents to, more easily or more fairly transition to these big changes that, yes, are probably coming, but it's our job to make sure that it's in all fairness. And I think Commissioner Cardenas has probably the best point here, is that the proximity to I-4 does make it a good spot, but maybe not the best spot for these other reasons. And, there's also such a thing as, there's lots of other industrial and warehouses existing or coming already. So, let's not oversaturate either. I think there has to be a balance for the sake of the future of this community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Are there any more comments or points to be made, questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Cardenas, yes.
Just a thought would be that, if it sounds like maybe Plant City has to do some additional investment into their roads to get them to where they need to be, because stuff like this is coming, and some are already in process. So,
thank you. Oh, Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The whole county's got to do investments into roads. I mean, there's not a road around here that is perfect. And, we can talk about Bell Shoals, we can talk about so many different, arterial roadways that have to, have improvements. So just because, that doesn't exist, right now, I don't think is the best reasoning. When I'm looking at this, diagram here that's, been provided, we've got, quite a bit of acreage that is, zoned for industrial, but it's not being used, for that particular purpose for whatever reason. And so, when you say, where is it, going to go? Well, there's areas where industrial was planned, but they didn't do it there for, whatever reason. So, now they're the market is trying to find a place, to go because there's a need. And I think, again, just to remind everyone here, is that we're thinking about, the horizon, in the future and where we're going, not just, immediately today. And that's not meant to be disrespectful to any of the folks that are currently, living on the road and for current plans for, new development. But, market shifts, and things change. I mean, we've seen that in, city of Tampa, for example, and, people bought building, condos, and they thought they were going to have unobstructed views, of the water, and then all of a sudden, they don't. So, things change, and development patterns, change with it, and you have to be able to be amenable and flexible. So I would hope that, again, that my fellow commissioners would just, think about those as we're going forward, that, where are we going to be in the next, 15, 20 years?
Thank you, Commissioner Buzza. Oh, all righty. Well, were there any more comments on this side? Questions, discussion items from the commissioners? Going once, going twice? All right, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we find the City of Plant City's PCCPA 22-10 consistent with Imagine 2040 plan and forward it to the Plant City Commission, citing land uses categories 2, 7.1, 8.115, and 8.3.
I'll second that.
Can I just ask a quick, was that 8.1.5?
8.1.15, excuse me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, citing category 2, Policy 7.1, 8.1.15, and 8.3. And a second to that consistency motion by Commissioner Powell. Are there any more questions or discussions, clarifications from the commissioners on this item before we vote? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
No.
Handy?
No.
Kress?
No.
Excuse me. Powell?
Yes.
Joseph?
No.
Motion failed 4-3. Commissioners Fernandez, Handy, Kress, and Joseph voted no.
Thank you very much. All right,
Excuse me, 3
that
and
is
4.
the last item for business that we have here, so. Oh,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, the board hasn't taken any action up to this point. You need an affirmative motion to approve.
all right.
To approve one.
Reopen it up again.
Consistency or not.
Reopen it up again to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Handy?
Yeah, I move to agree with staff in finding CP, sorry, it's not in front of me now. PCCPA 2210, thank you, inconsistent with the comp plan.
All right, I got inconsistency motion by Commissioner Handy.
I'll second.
A second to that motion by Commissioner Kress. Is there any more discussion, comments, statements from the commissioners? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
No.
Cardenas?
No.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
No.
Joseph?
Yes.
Motion carried 4-3. Commissioners Buzza, Cardenas, and Powell voted no.
All right, thank you very much. That was our last item of business. Thank you to everyone who's with us. This meeting is adjourned.